Hey, what's up guys, Kellen here with Droid Life, and we're taking a look today at a phone that will not only win comeback phone of the year, but it's going to stand a chance at battling for that overall crown too. I'm talking about this guy, the LG G6, which is absolutely nothing like its failed predecessor and everything like what you could ask for in a modern 2017 flagship. Now, LG's done a lot of really good things, and they're even giving you some reasons to consider its new phone over Samsung's new Galaxy S8 line. So let's talk more about that now in our review of the LG G6. You can't get deeper into the LG G6 unless you acknowledge how far we've come from last year's LG G5. The G5, with its cheap outer coating and its terribly implemented modularity, was an absolute bust for LG, and it really hurt their bottom line last year. So they've ditched all of that going forward with the G6 and have given us their most premium smartphone to date that really doesn't have any gimmicks. You've got a full metal frame sandwiched between a couple of slabs of glass. You have a massive 5.7-inch Quad HD display up front that leaves little bezel and an overall footprint you typically find in phones with much smaller displays. It feels premium, it looks premium, it packs the goods. Sure, it has this goofy looking dual camera setup on the back, but this is the best implementation of that yet, and the benefits of that second shooter outweigh the hit on that appearance. The phone comes in black or silver models, both of which have their own pluses and minuses. It's available on all major carriers in the US as well at roughly $650 or $700 depending on where you buy it from. Overall though, this is exactly the type of build, design, package, and value you want when you're investing in a top tier smartphone. As for the rest of the specs list, you've got 4GB RAM, 32GB storage with an SD slot, dual 13-megapixel cameras, one that shoots awesome wide-angle photos, by the way, a 3300 mAh non-removable battery, Snapdragon 821 processor, IP68 dust and water resistance, a fingerprint reader, and LG's newest skin on top of Android Nougat. Alright, so you can tell that I'm mostly into the LG G6, but what exactly is it that I like? Well, a bunch of stuff actually. In fact, most of it I like. For one, the display experience, even as an LCD, since there's almost zero bezel, is pretty awesome. You get a phone similar to the size of the smaller Google Pixel, only it has a much larger display. It's almost impossible to describe to you just how well LG has done this because there's nothing else to compare it to at the moment outside of the yet to be released Galaxy S8. When you take in movies, photos, or even the general web, all you get is display all of the time. Who doesn't want that? Just know that this isn't going to be an experience you'll want to live without anytime soon because big old displays that consume you are the future. This LCD is bright with great viewing angles, the color reproduction is spot on, plus you have night modes and always on displays and those types of extra goodies too. I do wish the display would get it dimmer in dark situations, a problem most LCDs have, and the auto brightness is often slow or too extreme, but those are really my only minor complaints. I'd also argue this is one of the better feeling phones in hand. It's thick enough that it's easy to hold, yet trim enough to fit in a pocket. LG wasn't trying to be the slim king here and instead gave us a phone that has enough weight and balance along with that massive display to nail the ergonomics. Plus, all that metal and glass combines to remind you that you're certainly getting your money's worth. As for that camera setup I poked a bit of fun at, let's just say that the results won't disappoint. Now, I will say that neither camera has fully blown me away at any time, but I'm also not often disappointed with their results. You have a standard 13-megapixel shooter with a slightly aggressive amount of zoom or crop, alongside another 13-megapixel wide-angle lens that captures more than your eye will believe. With the G6 in hand, you are the most versatile smartphone photographer at any moment, which is pretty cool. You've got a camera UI and feature set with all bells and whistles like manual mode, on-the-fly filters, HDR, 4K video, and your choice of resolution. You can even shoot in a square mode that's perfect for Instagram and see your thumbnails of photos in real time through this handy little scroll bar. The results from these cameras are the most important part though, and again, they do deliver most of the time when they aren't missing proper focus, especially as you flip between the two shooters or once you are done waiting for them to load for that initial shot. In low light, you've got hit or miss cameras, while in good light, they are borderline exceptional. Other positives for the LG G6 include availability to all of the major US carriers. You also have buttery smooth performance, wireless charging in the US, and of course, a headphone jack. Now, as good as the overall experience is, including with those cameras, there's some things with the G6 that I would consider to be pretty average. We're talking about battery life and even the software experience that are certainly not leading the industry. In my time with the G6, I'm mostly getting 12 to 14 hours of use with what I would consider to be heavy usage. I've tried to hammer on this phone and its 3300 milliamp hour battery, and it's held up okay. Most nights I'm concerned by 9 p.m. that I'll need a charger and if I'm going to make it to bed alive. I could probably live with that just like I can with most phones, especially with fast charging on board. Just don't go into the G6 expecting anything outside of single day use. As you can see from my battery stats, we're looking at 3 to 4 hours of screen on time each day with no real outliers. You get a day with the G6, sometimes even less. Also, keep in mind that this is one of the LG's first phones that lacks a removable battery. So if you were hoping to swap midday like you do on a V20 or G5, that's not happening here. And unfortunately for those battery swappers, having LG exit that arena to finally embrace real design means your options are almost non-existent. The software on not only the G6 but most LG phones is still a bit of a mixed bag. LG has fixed old notification issues and lightened their skin, while providing some decent theme options and generally giving you Android goodies in all of the right spots. I appreciate the customizable navigation buttons that are on screen and little things like the ability to customize the vibration strength. I like knock on and it's double tapping to wake or sleep the phone, multi-window working properly, and LG not trying to introduce their own gimmicky assistant and letting us just have Google Assistant. The things that do bother me can mostly be changed, thankfully. For example, the couple of launchers that LG includes out of the box are beyond bad. Without spending 5 minutes ranting on them, just install a third-party option immediately and save yourselves that frustration. But LG also includes its own gallery app, a health app, something called Quick Capture Plus, and Tasks, and Smart World, and Quick Memo Plus, and another email app. I can honestly say that I've never once used any of them because this phone already has Google's versions that work just fine, if not miles better. Keep in mind that LG has been decent when it comes to software updates though, depending on the carrier. The G5 on T-Mobile and Verizon both received Nougat pretty quickly last year, so there's a chance that the G6 will be one of the first to get Android O. In terms of regular security patches, they aren't bad either, though this phone is still only running Android 7.0, not 7.1. As for other things of note, I should point out that the fingerprint reader, while on the back, position I typically prefer, has been frustrating to use sometimes. It unlocks quickly, but because it also doubles as the power button, unlocking and then locking again sometimes doesn't work the way you want it to. The US version of the phone lacks a DAC, so audiophiles might be disappointed too. And finally, because of all that glass, keeping your phone scratch or fingerprint free is going to be a never-ending battle. In the end, it's so easy to like the G6 and everything it offers. Of course, the Galaxy S8 is right around the corner and will more than likely be a record breaker, but you shouldn't dismiss what LG has done here. In fact, you should probably be giving them a massive thumbs up after seeing how far they've come from last year's G5 mess. You have their best and most premium design to date. You have a dual camera system with versatility that not even Samsung can match. And of course, you have that big, beautiful display that will have you consuming more content than ever. The LG G6 is a winner.